What actually makes us successful is the people and the things that we surround ourselves with, what we absorb. The human mind is very, very susceptible to what's around it, easily influenced. Now, as much as we think we're strong, super, incredibly mentally powerful men that don't get influenced and impacted easily, we do, because we're human. Classical conditioning has been proven to work. It's a major part of the human psychology. Indoctrination, propaganda, these things will impact us. So what we see, the things that surround us and the people we hang out with are the key to our success. Nothing else really. If we're going to break this down to the bare bones, if we're going to make ourselves as successful as possible and understand how we can get there as quick as we can, the truth is, brother, it's all about environment. That's the one determining factor that you can't really replicate. That you can't, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how focused you are, you simply cannot outdo your environment. You can never outgrow the shelter that you live in. So there's a famous saying, if you plant a tree in a bathroom with a ceiling, it will only ever be a plant, because it cannot outgrow its environment. It simply cannot. It just hits the roof and just gets jammed up. A lot of people are stuck in that same environment. They have the potential to be a tree, they have the potential to blossom and become humongous, but at the same time, you know they're hanging around with guys who smoke, you know they're hanging around with guys who don't help them get better, you know they're hanging around with people who don't even believe in their own success. So of course they don't push themselves to their limits. Of course they don't go to the gym and do the work when they don't want to. Of course they don't. So they never end up reaching that potential. But did they have that potential? Absolutely. We all know that guy who could have blown in many different realms. We know a musician. We know an athlete. We know guys that can do content on the same level as some of these guys who are famous and big. Of course we do. It's just the consistency and the work. But also it's their environment. They're not surrounded by those guys on a regular basis. They don't believe it's possible. They're not forced to do the work. So for example, when people in successful realms link up with other people who are also successful, take AMP for example, that content group, they all had their individual content going, but as soon as they linked up and said, we're going to be in a house, we're going to do this together, so that when you wake up, I'm going to have to stream as well. When you're streaming, I'm going to be streaming. When you're putting out videos, I'm going to be putting out videos. It 10x's the output and everybody grows. The pie gets huge and everybody splits a bigger chunk of it. It's your environment. That's the key to your success. I play basketball, or you play football, whatever sport. Think about if you go and train with the best Prem team in the world, or PSG for a week. You're going to get killed, you're going to get slaughtered. But at the same time, you're going to be 10 times better after that week of training than 5 months training at the park with people that are nowhere near that level. In 1 week, just the environment, just osmosis, just being around that extremely high level, you're going to learn the habits, you're going to learn the discipline, you're going to learn the tactics and the strategies that it takes to be great. So understanding this, fellas, I need you to stop focusing on doing it all yourself, trying to be a lone wolf, trying to get there with your own discipline, with your own focus, with your own hard work. It's possible, but it's 10 times harder. Do you know what would 10x your output? Do you know what would really get you to success, brother? Do you really know what it is? A team. People that think like you, like-minded individuals with the same belief in what you're trying to do. Think about if we're both pushing a sled up the hill, because that's what being successful is about. It's really about the journey of pushing something up that mountain. If I help you, and he helps me, and somebody helps him, how much faster are we going to get there? How much more steady are we going to be? Because you're going to have days where you're 20%. It's on me to lift you up for 80. I'm going to have days where I'm 20%, and it's on you to pick up the pace, lift up the energy, and give that 80%. That's what success is about. But how do we find like-minded individuals? Because that's the hardest thing, and for me, that's my biggest challenge. This is what I have realized is the difference maker that can take you to success and build that team around you, and that can have you linking up with these like-minded individuals. You have to create something. Create something in that field. Make something happen. Even if it's small, make a movement, make a brand, do some videos about it, reach out, put yourself out there. You cannot just live your daily life, right? Doing your habits, trying to get to a success in whatever field that you pick, whatever niche that you're in. If you make content in that niche, or if you open a business or a brand in that niche, or if you just constantly reach out to people in that niche, then you start to curate your reality to reflect what you're trying to achieve. Because if you had a group of friends, and there's 4 of you, and you were all making 6 figures a year, they were all making 6 figures a year, minimum, some millionaires, and these were your brothers, your closest friends. All they do is scheme on the money. They think about the money. Whenever they have a watch, they wear the money. They're thinking about time is money. They're entrepreneurs. They're smart. They're skilled. They're strategic. But if your group is a bunch of spliff smoking, meat beating losers who just watch sports highlights, you're going to struggle. You're going to emulate those traits as well, brother, because you're going to relate to them on what females. You're going to relate to them on aimless sports highlights. You're not going to relate to the entrepreneur, to the guy who's investing in stocks, but you need to change that environment. So in other words, if you want to get into that field and want to be more successful, create something around that. That's how you pull those people in. That's how you create your reality. You drag them in with your content. You drag them in with your ability to reach out. You drag them in with the brand that you've created. Make something happen in that field. And then you start building connections, because people say, okay, I've seen him, I don't know him, but he's interested in what I'm interested in. So maybe I can help him, or maybe he can help me, or let's get together and let's work, let's train. Now that I'm trying to get into the niche of self-improvement and communication, I have to start from scratch. I have to build these connections. I have to curate my reality to show my identity as a different person, that I can compete in the self-improvement realm, that I try and understand different concepts and how to help another man improve, as well as helping myself improve. It's a whole nother ball game, but I know if I continue to create things around it, create my own videos, create my own brand, create my own ideas, then I can draw in those people who have a similar mindset. And through that, I now have a different environment. I now have a different team. So at the start, you'll have to do it all alone, as I'm trying to do all the stuff that I do alone. But on the way there, you will create people that want to work with you, that want to be around you, that want to help you achieve your goal. And that is what actually gets you there. When you're shooting, when you're training, you need a rebounder, you need a partner to push you. You need that competitive edge, that competitive spirit that pushes you to become the best version of yourself. And if you have enough of those around you, brother, if you can curate your reality to reflect exactly where you're trying to go, I promise you, you're going to get there much, much faster. So remember the importance of environment. Stop hanging around with people that drag you down. Hang out with those that push you to be better. Because if you do that enough, just by emulating their traits, just by osmosis, just by being around that energy, you'll start to radiate that same frequency. And that frequency will always take you to the top, brother. So, lock in. Every day I'm going to be here too, bro. Alright, boy.